Regulators of Denver's pot industry have requested that the city council extend the initial 2-year moratorium banning any new marijuana businesses set to end on January 1st. Meanwhile, Governor John Hickenlooper released an executive order on Thursday stating that unapproved pesticides used by growers are a public health risk, and any pot grown in said conditions needs to be destroyed. We're going to break format a little bit here. Usually we go to Ed for topic 3, but we have Ben here as a resident expert. Give us your take on all the various issues that have happened.
Sure. Well, first I want to disclose that I'm a board member of the Organic Cannabis Association, and everything I'm about to say is my personal opinion and does not reflect the opinion of the board or the organization.
Duly noted.
You know, from my view, it's interesting to see. It sort of seems like cutting your nose to spite your face, because there's so much tax revenue being derived from the industry, and you know, I know that they're saying that they want to take some time to evaluate the impact. The impact seems to me that we're bringing in a lot of taxes. We're likely reducing crime because it's no longer a crime, and I can't really see it. There are some other factors that say to me that it's not necessary to extend the moratorium. The big driving one is real estate. If you want to open a new retail facility in the city of Denver, good luck, because it's hard to find a location that works given all the restrictions that exist with proximity to other stores, proximity to churches or religious institutions, proximity to schools and neighborhoods. And then, of course, there is no warehouse space available in the city of Denver. So, you know, I think it's a little bit interesting. I think there's some protectionism going on from people already in the industry. The other thing that I think is going on that's important to note as people consider this issue is that the state is beginning to limit access to the medical industry for both business participants and patients, which could mean that if the moratorium is extended, Denver has a really high number of medical grows in the city, and we could see overproduction on the medical side as a result, because the state is pushing down the medical. The city of Denver would then have an overabundance of medical grows, and that's one issue that every regulator is deeply concerned about, overproduction and entry of product into the black market. The other thing I'd point out that is a little bit in line with the Organic Cannabis Association is that Denver does have really the strictest rules in the state regarding cultivation, and there are real public health and safety issues revolving around that, how it's grown, the energy, the inputs, et cetera. And just because pot is grown in Denver doesn't mean it will be purchased or used in Denver. So, you know, I think the city has a lot to consider there about how the market works, how Denver is a part of that and not, you know, actually apart from it.
Now, Ben's not our only pot expert at the table. We have someone who's written a line or two about the topic. Patty, there's a lot to cover here. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's going to be a big month for pot policy, but Hickenlooper's announcement yesterday about the pesticides is really significant. You look at the catch-22 of what happens when a state legalizes something that is federally banned. So what you have is, you don't have the EPA weighing in or the USDA about what kinds of pesticides can be used, what kind of chemicals can be used on cannabis, because they won't take a position on this illegal, at least federally, drug. So you don't have a whole lot of guidance of what's going on. We see what happened in Denver back in March, where they did seize a lot of cannabis products because they had heard there were pesticides that might have been used. Now it looks like at least Hickenlooper is stepping up and is going to give some state guidance too, which will be great, because we're not going to get anything federally. But we also have other big issues coming this month, and the state regulations about MMJ, they're going to change. That's coming down. Doctors are concerned, patients are concerned. Seems to me at this point for Denver to suddenly decide they're going to have like an inner circle club is the wrong way to go. I mean, Denver was way ahead in putting through regulations that have worked out pretty well. They've taken the advance on pesticides. They wanted to keep it more mom and pop, wanted to keep local owners, but they shouldn't try to keep it a little local club. The one thing I also want to point out, another good development, new director of tourism for the state, who actually thinks maybe we should address the issue of pot, because what's the first question anyone asks if you're going to Colorado?
Mm-hmm. David, when it comes to Governor Hickenlooper issuing an executive order, does that have a lot of teeth in this situation? Is that a big change of regulation, or is it more like a resolution?
I honestly don't know, but somebody nearby me does. 2 people probably. But I'm reminded of what Adam Smith said, which is when you get two businessmen together, the first thing they do is start conspiring against the public good. And so the incumbents in Denver, of course, are conspiring to keep their oligopoly and prevent competition. And this is the same thing that a lot of the medical marijuana industry did in 2012. They were among the leading opponents of legalizing recreational marijuana because they liked not having any competition in their own sphere. So I don't see why medical marijuana is any more entitled to, or any kind of marijuana business is more entitled to government protectionism from competition.
Ed, wrap it up for us.
Well, I'm not the pot expert that everyone else here at the table is, but the one thing I have noticed is that this has become more of a local issue over the years. And I think that Denver, the biggest city in the state, kind of stepping up, doing these controversial things, will just ensure this stays a local issue. You definitely get the feel from the legislature that they have written the rules that they're going to write on marijuana, and they're going to step away at this point. I think seeing a city feud like this is only going to reinforce that, and it's going to be a city-by-city decision from here on in.